We're very fragile.
It's all true. It's all true.
But like in a beautiful way, Joey.
Yeah, so just prepare to...
It'll be great.
It'll be perfect.
Yeah, so just prepare to...
Y'all motherfuckers don't watch us play throughout the year, to tell you the truth. I'm gonna be real with you, and I don't care if I get fined.
That train is off the track.
I feel like you can't just like jump through Neptune and be okay.
Just prepare to...
What the show needs is more dogs and bears and chickens and stuff.
Yeah, so just prepare to be awash in unbelievable goodness.
Welcome, Pacers fans. You were listening to the Undebeatables, your semi-weekly Pacers podcast. This is episode 576, coming to you from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm your host, Joey Gaffrida, the man behind the dials and former and future season ticket holder. This show, we're going to discuss what we are going to see out of this team for the end of until the end of the season. Joining me this show are all three of our analysts, coast to coast, like buttered toast. First, from the high school home of Jameson Brewer, Silver Spring, Maryland, it's the doctor, Jason Triplett.
What is up, Pacers fans? What is up, Undebeatables? I want to shout out this week to... what is on my mind this week? I want to shout out to...
Hats.
Hats. Hats are on. Hats.
Yeah.
Hats are often on my head. Yes. Good one. No, I want to shout out to my Aunt Barbara, or I guess my aunt-in-law, great-aunt-in-law. Anyway, hung out with her today. Had a good time. Went to a park, watched the kids run around and all that good stuff. So, things are good. So shout outs.
Shout out.
Shout out to families. From Asheville, North Carolina, he's our in-house bartender mixing up the drinks and the crappy jingles, John Colson.
Hey, it's Thirsty Thursday. Drink up.
And from Boise, Idaho, out west, it's our enforcer, John Harper.
What is going on, fellas? My aunt has a birthday this week, so
Shout out.
Shout out Aunt Shirley.
Shout out.
And also to the U.S. women's national soccer team, who took gold. I don't know if you saw this. Poor Michaela Moore for New Zealand had 3 own goals.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's a bad day at the office.
Yeah. Yeah.
They took gold in what? What competition?
She Believes Cup, apparently.
Yeah. Shout out.
Also, anti-shout out, a wag of the finger to own goals. They're just not fun. I mean, a lot of times you have no choice in the matter, and
So
it's just unfortunate.
what's an own goal look like?
An own goal is where you knock it into your own net
Yeah.
somehow.
So the first one was a cross that she tried to redirect, and she redirected into her own goal.
Okay.
Then she tried to another cross, tried to head it out of bounds straight into the goal.
Oh no.
Yeah, a lot of that.
So we actually my soccer team had this debate a couple weeks ago because I forget if somebody scored an own goal in our game or we were talking about some Premier League game and somebody had an own goal. And we were wondering if at the end of the season your own goals contribute to your goals scored tally.
I think they do, don't they?
I don't know. That was our question.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
No.
But they name the person that scores the own goal.
Oh, yeah.
But I think
She got a hat trick.
I know. You know what? In basketball, they give it. That happens occasionally in basketball. They just give it to the nearest person on the other team, like on the score sheet.
Right? Yeah, but that's not how they.
But
do
I
it
don't
in
think
soccer.
that's what happens.
You get credit for the.
It just says own goal.
I agree with Harper. This is the hat trick.
All right.
Yep.
That
Or
is
anti-hat trick.
before we get into the show. And
We haven't started the show yet?
I mean, before we get into like the meat of the show,
Oh, yeah.
the veggies of the show,
The creamy nougat center.
I'd like to remind you that you can support the longest running Pacers podcast, which is us, by heading over to patreon.com/undebeatables. And you can support us for as little as $1 per month. If you get it at the $5 per month level, you get a koozie shipped out to you. And access to our Slack and all sorts of other good stuff. So shout out to Patreon for letting us raise money on your platform. Shout out. All right, team. We are post All-Star break, and we want to discuss what we expect to see from the Pacers team and what we think we're going to see over the next couple months, last couple months of the season. This is one of the, as we discussed, this was the sort of biggest trade deadline by volume and by weight, like in many years. And it's a huge change. The team, I think, my thoughts going into the season was that we're going to be competitive, and I was naive back then, but we were going to be competitive in the Eastern Conference. Like, I was like, I don't know, maybe like, top 4, maybe looking at home court advantage in the playoffs, at least for the first round. And we were not that. And the team has been imploded, and we now are looking to the future. I think the last, couple. I mean, basically the way the team has played since the trades have happened has been, it's been fun. It's been much more fun to watch. It's been enjoyable basketball, and we don't win because we do need to have pretty low win total to get a high pick. So, and there are some other contenders out there that are worse than us, and so we need to make sure we don't slide too far up into the standings. But Harper, what do you think we're going to see, and what do you hope to see through the end of the season?
Well, as we record, the Pacers are sitting on 20-40 through the first 60 games of the season, so I guess I expect us to go approximately 7-15 the rest of the way, which would be 27 wins. That is 21 under what I predicted for the year, so not very good.
Wowzers.
Yep. It's been an interesting year. But yeah, I mean, there's still plenty of questions out there. It's going to be mostly development. Maybe we can learn something about whether Jalen Smith, the guy was a lottery pick, right? So he could potentially be a good rotation player for us. We got some time to figure that out. Obviously, very excited about Halliburton and Hield. They look excellent. But sort of the big questions hanging out there are, are we going to see Malcolm Brogdon again this season? And, even more importantly, maybe TJ Warren. What's the long-term prospects of him with the Pacers? That's a question that I just still don't know the answer to, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of chatter about it out there. I'm kind of fiending a little bit for news at this point, and just haven't heard very much.
Yeah, I'm real intrigued to see if any of these, veteran guys actually get on the floor the rest of the season. Like, do we see Brogdon? Do we see Turner? Do we see Warren? My inkling is no. At some level, there's no reason to rush any of them back. They're both, TJ Warren obviously is battling an injury that has taken him over a year to recover from so far. Turner's got a foot thing, and Brogdon has an Achilles thing. Like, these are all injuries that would help, that rest would help, right? So, part of me is fine with that because I agree with you, Joey. Like, somewhat the goal is to just lose as many games as possible and get more lottery balls in the hopper. But part of me is worried because I think we have to walk this fine line between losing games and reestablishing our culture in a winning manner. And I think that if we can lay that foundation over these next, 32 games that we have left, where we are at least building a positive environment and things are building towards something in the future, which obviously everybody is on board that this season is over, but we want to be building to the next thing. And I think that's going to be a hard space for Carlisle and the rest of the brass to sort of navigate as we do that. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it's a hard needle to thread, right? I mean, because the thing is okay. Look, if we go 7 of 15, that helps our draft picks. But does that help our culture? You know, and so what do? What I have been appreciative, and in fact, I think I said on Slack was, I really liked watching the games this week. These guys played hard, they were competitive, and they lost in the fourth quarter. Gives us a higher draft pick. I want to watch young guys that are entertaining and playing hard, as opposed to a bunch of veterans who aren't playing hard and losing in the fourth quarter. It's the same result, but it feels different. Halliburton and Jalen Smith feel different to me than, Brogdon and Sabonis. Yeah. It does. It just feels different. And we were losing anyway, so Halliburton seems to me like a revelation. Like, he is. I'm not saying he's the greatest point guard, that God has ever created, but like, the guy has natural instincts. He's super charming. We'll link to the stuff that he did before the All-Star break. He's just fair. He could be the face of a franchise, and like, he's averaging over 10 assists since he showed up in Indianapolis. This is the kind of guy that you want. Harper has said that he's been looking for this kind of guy for decades. He didn't want to do it at the by losing Sabonis, but this is what we got. Mm-hmm. Harper, I mean, are you okay with this, or are you still bitter about it?
I mean, I don't know that I was ever bitter about it. Certainly time will tell how well it works out for us, but the kid can play. There was never any doubt about that.
He can shoot too, man.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing that's changed post acquisition is just expectations, right? When we were trotting out Sabonis and Brogdon, those guys were supposed to be winning games and they weren't. Now nobody's really supposed to be winning games, so it's a lot easier to sit back and watch, right? I think that the good news, especially for from a culture perspective, is Halliburton and Hield they're used to losing already. So like, I don't know that it's that detrimental to their mental health to have to put up with it for another half season before we try and
that's a good point.
Reinstitute things.
Yeah. They're already broken.
I mean, I guess I also sort of meant like, as we're building to the future, I mean, I think there are still decisions to be made roster-wise, like about the fits of Brogdon and Turner and Warren. And part of that can be done sort of intellectually, and you think about how these pieces fit together, but another part might be how do they actually interact on the floor.
You'd like to get them
so you'd like to see them play together before you make some potentially catastrophic decision or something like that, right?
And you would think Warren especially would be interested in getting out on the floor because he's got contract negotiations to worry about.
Right. I mean, he seems like a hooper. Like, he wants to just get out there and ball. Like, I'm sure that's the case, but...
And it's not like he's used to playing for the LA Lakers. Like, that's not what his career has been thus far.
Yeah, he was in Phoenix before when they were terrible.
Yeah, and the Pacers, went out and got him, targeted him.
And he played well for us.
Got him, and, showed faith in the guy and believed he could play defense, which, he did when he was healthy. So, I don't know. That's sort of, that can go a long way, one would think.
Mm-hmm.
But it really comes down to, is he going to be healthy enough to play, period, right?
Yeah.
And if not, who's going to give him the money? Is it going to be us or somebody else? If he's not healthy, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to pay him much of anything if he can't prove he's healthy.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And I mean, we've got the inside track, I guess, as far as
we do.
health goes or whatever.
Yeah.
But whether or not he is a fan of being a part of the Pacers organization after the Nate Bjorkgren experience is, a whole nother question.
What about Miles Turner? So we drafted this kid. We didn't trade him because he got injured right before the trade deadline, essentially. I assume that's why we didn't trade him. He's now going to be a part of our team for the rest of the season and probably through the end of his contract, which is another couple of years. We've been doing this pod long enough to think that maybe he needed to be the leader of this team. And then we understood fairly quickly that he wasn't a leader. Is he a guy that can be a piece on anything? Is my question.
I could feel this one.
I mean, he's an NBA player. He's an elite defender. Like, he's definitely can be a piece on something.
When I'm looking at Isaiah Jackson, I'm wondering whether isn't this guy better? He could alley-oop all he wants, and he could defend on the perimeter in a way that Miles Turner can't. What are we holding this guy for? What are we doing it? Well, let's just get young and get hungry. Let's do it.
I think that's still a distinct possibility. I think the fact that we weren't able to move him at the deadline doesn't necessarily mean that he's not on the trade market, come summertime. And I think that, we discussed this earlier, in some ways that broadens the market for a Miles Turner, right? As more teams are reshaping their rosters and, looking to add pieces, he's a clear piece.
Yeah. I think it'd be great on another team. I just got angry at the entire team this season. I love this guy. He's on my top 25 Pacers of all time. I love Miles Turner. But I got angry at everybody because we just stopped giving a shit about basketball. And I'm not okay with that. So if we need to get rid of you, I'm okay with it at this point. And I think that I was okay with the changes we made, even though it was dramatic and painful with people I liked. Karis LeVert and Demonis Motis, because I wanted to change. I'm actually, you know what? Anybody can move at this point. I just need it to feel better. I just need to feel better, Joey.
I mean, I guess for me, Miles Turner, and I don't know if you didn't outright say this, but it sounded to me you were hinting that Miles Turner's injury was self-inflicted, so he wouldn't get traded. Is that? No, I mean, I think Miles Turner's good, I'd like to see him on this new look team. It's been hard. I mean, with T.J. Warren, we mentioned with T.J. Warren being out. I mean, T.J. Warren, if on the roster, is certainly a part of that new look team. But I mean, it's hard to see how everyone fits exactly until we get some playing time.
Okay, no. Look, all you got to say is I got Halliburton, Hield, Duarte, Warren, and Miles Turner, and that's a team that could win 35 games.
Great. I don't know. I guess what's the time frame on this one? It's not this season, right?
I think another season we could win more than that, potentially.
Okay.
I'm just talking about this season.
Yeah, this season's done, man.
Season's over.
We packed it up. Pack it in.
Yeah, we're not winning 35 games. Even if both those guys come back tomorrow. There's no way.
Yeah, I guess
at best that's a 500 team.
Yeah.
So you go 500 down the stretch.
I'm a little curious what the vision really is. We definitely started experimenting with small ball, and we want to be able to shoot the three more. And if we are going to more of a small ball up and down team, I think that Turner especially, but Brogdon as well maybe, are not necessarily super natural fits into that kind of system if that's what we're eyeballing.
I mean, Brogdon's a really efficient 3-point shooter. And
But
Miles
he's not like a.
and Miles
but he's-
Turner, I mean, he's selective with it, but he's efficient. And then Miles Turner is not great at shooting the 3, but at least he's a big that can shoot the 3.
But he doesn't necessarily. Neither of those guys are guys that I think of getting up and down the court, right?
Oh, no. Neither of them run up and down. We've got the gate, and Brogdon likes to slow things down, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, weirdly, I feel like it's more likely that at the beginning of next season we have Turner on the roster than Brogdon.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Halliburton has replaced him. Just watching, I mean, God, I so love how he's taking control of this team. He gets this rebound, he throws it full court. He forces the defenses. Our offense is so much more interesting, and also he's better at defense than Brogdon. Honestly, watching him, he's better one-on-one defensively.
Yeah.
I think we've got somebody.
And there's no question that Halliburton's our one, right? Like, there's no controversy about
Oh, yeah.
if he's
there's not.
off guard. You know what I mean?
He sees himself as a point guard.
Yeah,
like pure and simple. He's just like,
Absolutely.
I am a point guard.
It may not have been what he played growing up, but the kid is just super gifted, and it is what it is. But that puts you in kind of a strange position. We're definitely keeping Duarte. That kid is a gamer.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
And at that point, you're looking at Heald and Brogdon, and do you want to keep both of those guys, right? So I'm with you, Jason. It seems
They're
likely
both $20
that
million a year.
one of those guys isn't on our roster at the beginning of next year.
Yeah, and I think Brogdon more likely because, well, I mean, if you're smart about it, we've talked ad nauseum about like the crisis of leadership on this team, right? I mean, and this goes back. I mean, I guess during the David West years we had clear leadership, but when Jermaine O'Neal was on the roster, like Colson and I would have ridiculous late night conversations about like we need to send this guy to a psychologist and teach him how to be a leader and whatever, send him to executive school or whatever. I don't know. But like Halliburton that's the best thing about him. Like his talent on the floor is amazing, but the thing that takes it above and beyond is he has that thing, whatever it is, that makes him a leader and makes him want to connect with the other guys in the locker room and take them to other levels. And Brogdon, I think, fancies himself that as well. I don't know how effective he is with that, especially on this team in this environment. And to create a cohesive locker room, I think you got to remove as much tension of that as possible, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And having him sticking around and thinking like he should be the leader and whatever, like when it's like clear that Halliburton is the guy we want to give the keys to.
Well, I mean, Kevin Pritchard came out and said, I was looking for a player that could be the leader for this team for the next 10 years, and I found it in Halliburton. I mean, he's already said that.
I mean, he also said
out loud,
I have interviewed 40 different candidates, and the guy for this team is Nate Bjorkgren. So I'm going to take Kevin Pritchard's word, and I'm going to trust it as far as I can throw the man.
But I agree with that. But the point that the reason I say that is because Malcolm Brogdon heard that.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
he knows he's out. And so even if we keep him around, his life is different. That's my point. Now,
Sure.
I'm not saying that I really hope Halliburton's way better than Bjorkgren. I really do. And already on the floor, I can feel that he is.
He's absolutely yes. He's not a psychotic narcissist,
I feel like this guy's the face of the franchise.
He better be. We just traded our face of the franchise for him.
Yeah. It could be the case that Brogdon is also like miscast in this leadership role, and he's like, I don't want this. Like, I came here to play with Victor Oladipo, who is the leader of this team, and I wanted to be a wingman, and maybe he's like perfectly happy, and he's like, awesome. Take over, dude. Like, I'll just sit over here and like nail catch and shoot threes. Like, all right, well, it'll be fun to watch whatever happens.
I'm hoping we could land. I'm hoping we can land a good pick. Because then we got to pull it out of the draft.
So they say this is a top 4 heavy draft pick. So,
All right, we know what we got to do.
yeah.
All right. Well, we'll certainly be here to talk about the rest of the season as it happens. I'm excited. It's it had certainly been at times not much fun to watch, and now we have hope again for the future. Before it was it was dark days, but we have light in front of us now. I think it's time to take a quick break. We'll be back in a few minutes, and we've got my stat of the week, and maybe an Undegooglable if we got the time.
Calluses on my 6-string so bleed. Granny snapping fingers and she black like me. On the Indiana Ave with a Cadillac and an ice cold Fiji. Baby, follow me to the land of mystery with a skyline gleam. Help a nigga make believe. On a fall street, red leaf covered weed with the young guns open up their lungs to the beat. Wow, I feel like Elder Barge, watch my soul glow. I'm on some no-dos, I'm coming in spicy with the polio. Collect call from the loose jaws of a space station. Black and beautiful and permanently on a vacation. Nigga, baby, roll up on a roller coaster. Thinking about the great migration. Barefoot while I two-step in a cotton field while we picking out these great vibrations. Down the Ross in the club singing off key. Can't keep a wine drunk hands off me. Down the Ross in the club singing off key. And she can't keep a wine drunk hands off me. Now, gentlemen, listen up, listen up. Why are you so predictable? I just think you need a friend. OJ. Breeze. I raise my glass to the moonlight. Marcus Garvey sent me on a red eye. I blink twice, but I'm heading home. I'm on the first flight. Get my room nice in Uganda. Niggas assume right. Felt like I had been here before. That's why I packed like juveniles on the city wounds, pumping up their chests, and the gases got them wishing for the best. Lick my fingers in the page of a Jet magazine, and this nigga never felt so clean. Flash mob, I'm Huey Newton in this revolution. I got my hands up in the street, they break the Constitution. Well, my brother can't breathe, and our black heart bleeds on this camouflage sleep as we lead, like, man. Jeez.
We are back from the break. First thing I want to do out of the break is drop a stat of the week on you.
Joey, stat of the week!
We have talked about one NBA player a lot over the many years that we have been doing the show. LeBron James. You've heard his name in the news. Well, a little bit more recently. He's saying that he wants to play with his son, which should be here in the next. I don't know if you guys when his son would be eligible to play, but it'll be. But he said he wants to join his son, so it's a package deal. It sounds like. But LeBron has now taken over the all-time career points leader with the regular season and playoffs combined. He now, as of today, sits at 44,190 points. He passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at 44,149. So he's number one all-time regular season and
playoffs. Okay.
Yep. So he is in the lead. He's got a bit of work to do to like get the regular season one. He's Kareem has got him by almost 2,000 points there. But he does have he is the number one.
No problem.
Yeah. So he is the number one in the playoffs. So over Jordan, he's over 2,600 more than Jordan. So, just in the playoffs. So.
Yeah. Dude made the finals for like 7 straight years. So
He didn't
Was it
take
8?
Didn't take any of those years off, unlike
Yeah.
some people.
right, exactly.
Was that a shot at me? Come on. So I don't think anyone's gonna. The closest player to him that's still active is Carmelo Anthony, who is
That's ridiculous.
Awesome.
On his team and sucks.
he's also under 30,000 total, so he's 14,000 plus behind him.
Wow.
Kevin Durant is the closest person behind him that could actually do anything about it.
Right.
Not far at all behind Melo.
I mean, the Nets have to make the playoffs this year, though, to help him out.
Oh, burn.
Well,
They're currently in, what, the 10th seed?
8th.
Oh, 8th.
Well,
Oh,
Kevin Durant first has to play basketball. for him
Right.
to
well,
help
first
us.
of all, Colson, you remember we got? Well, you know what? I was gonna say the play-in game doesn't count for anything. It's like a void game, right?
That's
Like,
right.
So I don't think that there's a space on the regular season and playoffs.
Brooklyn
'Cause
is in 8th right now, but is tied for the best odds to win the championship in the Eastern Conference.
Oh,
You have teams in the East.
Oh, boy. Start betting money.
who's the other one? The Bucks.
Yep. Both the Bucks and the Nets are plus 600.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, a healthy
6 to
Durant
1.
and no one almost took down the Bucks last year.
That's true. That is true. That is very true. And they now have more pieces, so.
Potentially. I mean, if they can get everybody healthy, but that's been the problem.
Depending
Right.
on what city they play in.
Yeah.
Health and location. Health and location.
That's what they say about real estate.
Yep. It was health, location. Right,
People often forget about the beginning of that.
right. It is time to move on to our final segment.
Oh, are we doing Undegooglable?
That was the plan.
Super excited.
You told us we had to, so
He said we signed up for it.
In the end, it's going to be better and more true than Google can give you.
I'm really excited about this Undegooglable. We got a write-in from fan of the show. So Christina Schnobert, or whatever, I don't know.
nailed it.
Her 12-year-old kid, apparently, 12-year-old kid, was listening to our podcast while she was driving him to school. His name is Aaron. So shout out to Aaron. And so he wanted to ask, and I feel like this is useful. I think this is a really good question. I didn't know how to answer it to him. What does AM and PM stand for? And when did it come about?
Oh, wow. Good question.
I think it's a really good question. You've got a 12-year-old asking a really good question, and we need to answer it for him.
This is the clock
Yeah.
before noon,
Yeah.
afternoon.
Why? I in my head, the moment I heard that, I was like, yeah, why do we divide the 24 hours into half? Like, that's stupid.
Well,
Like, because
that's
military
dumb.
time. Well, no, military time goes 24 hours, right?
Exactly.
So, like, why do we do anything else?
Because
That's
the
all
easiest
stupid.
marker of time, or the original marker of time, before we standardized time was
daylight.
noon, was high noon, right? When the sun is at its highest in the sky, that's when you're most confident of what time of day it is.
Okay.
Right. So that's why I think we divide the day basically before and after high noon. And my guess is that the A is something like ante,
Yeah.
and the P is post, and the M is midday.
Meridian.
I think it's meridian.
Meridian. Anti-meridian.
And post-meridian?
It's Post Malone.
That's a joke for all the youngsters.
No doubt.
Not familiar with his work.
Yeah, because this is going to a 12-year-old, so he's going to be totally on that one.
There we go.
Is that, are you, Harper, you seemed like you jibed with that. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does indeed. And I suspect that, yeah, the meridian would be the center point. So presumably in this case, we're talking about the center point in the sky, at which point the sun crosses from one side to the other, right?
Do you think, so, yeah, and when do we think this came about, I guess?
Well,
That's
no,
what I'm not sure.
that's the interesting question, right? So, like, I mean, if you think about it, like, high noon, we start to understand as, you know, half of the day.
People have been tracking the sun since
before
the beginning.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
where do we go? Is what I'm saying. How far back do we go? Is what I'm saying.
Well, post-Latin, because there's some Latin words in there.
Yeah, exactly. The Greeks, I'm guessing? I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think it was 24-hour clock before that?
No, they didn't even have clocks before that.
When it was a sundial.
I think this is. I really like Roman, not Greek. I'm going to go with Roman.
Romans, okay.
I think they came up with this in like 500.
I mean, there's a couple different. Yeah, one is when did we split it, and then when did that?
Well, so let's see. Let's think more abstractly here. So in a lot of languages, like the European languages, there are different salutations based on relative, like morning versus afternoon versus night.
Yeah, and different
Sure.
clothing. I mean, you don't want to show up to, the dinner party with your morning gloves on. You look like an idiot.
Sure.
Right, so the day-
it's your ascot versus your cravat.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And so the day is divided. So it makes sense to me that they would have different designations for that in the time. I mean, I guess that doesn't answer why you would split a 24-hour clock into two 12-hour things. Unless it's simply that like, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, on some level, it really only makes sense once you've established. I mean, the question is, why did we establish a 12-hour clock, right?
Right.
Presumably, when timekeeping became more common.
Right.
Which is trains.
And so the reason
Well,
to set things like relative to high noon is because that's the one thing that's going to be constant across seasons, right? So you might think that the more natural thing would be to have hours during the night and hours during the daylight, but since those change with the seasons, the length of those times, like you can't do it that way. So you would have to do it divisible by a different thing, a different marker, right? And the daytime one makes sense. High noon is going to always make sense. How you figure out what midnight is, I have no idea.
I mean, just relative to the other one. I mean, you
Relative
just need a
to the
clock,
other one?
yeah.
Just 12 hours later, yeah.
So I mean, maybe that's simply the answer. Right?
So you're basically just running everything off high noon?
Yeah.
Boy, but that's rough, though.
Is it?
I mean, if you actually have reliance upon the sun for timekeeping matters, like, you would learn
You're
how
probably
to do
pretty
it.
good at it.
Yeah, exactly.
What we got?
All right. AM stands for the Latin ante meridium.
Oh, we
translating
nailed
to
that.
Before midday, and PM stands for post meridium.
We nailed that as well.
Midday.
Nailed that as well.
So, according to aspirantform.com, the Egyptians divided the day into 24 equal parts by using the base of 12.
Of course they did.
But why?
Oh, Egyptian sundial for daytime, water clock for nighttime.
Oh, I love the water clock.
And they both divided their respective times into 12 hours each. Romans also use a 12-hour clock.
I mean, it may be that clockmakers just found the 12-hour system simpler and cheaper.
Other places did do the 24-hour clock. 12-hour clock was used in the British Empire.
Right. That's what I'm seeing. The first mechanical clocks are in the 14th century.
I'm not seeing anything on time frame of using actual AM and PM.
I keep getting British Empire over and over again.
All right, so the term, according to Grammarphobia, first recorded in English in 1563.
How'd they figure that stuff out with like the stars and the sun and all that stuff?
Yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
All right. Well, we nailed that.
Ish. Yeah.
Yeah, I still don't know why we use 12-hour clocks.
Yeah. But we know what it
yeah.
stands for, and we know that it came from the Egyptians. Mesopotamians.
Yep.
What did we learn?
I asked myself that a lot. Into the mirror.
We'll listen to it a year from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Be
When it comes
edifying
back
at
out.
the time,
No, but you know, we're trying to teach a 12-year-old right now what's going on. So, what did we learn?
we learned that we should
Anti-meridium.
probably
was a
start
good
using
question.
military time.
It was a good question because we don't know the answer.
That's right.
All right, military time.
Somewhat
You
Undegooglable.
can actually set that on your iPhone.
You could sit on basically any digital clock.
I mean, not on your oven clock.
Sure you can.
Some of us.
No,
Probably.
they don't do the 24 hours on your oven clock.
Some do.
I'm sure.
Oh, you guys have the fancy ovens, huh? Oh, look at you guys. I had the big money guys with the oven clocks that go 24 hours. Mine only goes 12, all right? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I can't cook something longer than 12 hours. The numbers don't go up to more than 12 on my oven. So, go be fancy in your...
Will do.
I'm going to come hang out with you and cook my turkey for 24 hours later.
Our oven also has a Shabbat function. It does.
It has a Shabbat function?
Yes.
Did I just say function or function?
You got it covered now.
Yeah. What does that do, Jason? I'm not.
You can
familiar.
like preset it to like turn on for you because you're
okay.
if you're
yeah.
'Cause
Orthodox or very
you're not
observant,
allowed to
you're
work.
not supposed
Right.
to do anything on Shabbat, like even turn on
Right.
the oven.
All right. I in college I did some babysitting for a Jewish family, and they asked me to do those things for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a common way to get around it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid workaround. Slave labor.
I mean, it was like stuff like flip on the lights,
Turn on
and,
the
you
lights.
know,
Yeah, you
it
can
was
do
stuff
that.
like that. It was.
Boy, I don't know where you draw the line. It's
Yeah. Yeah. It was always small stuff like that,
Yeah.
you know. So it was never. They were, I would say, modern Orthodox, where they followed the rules, but they were a little bit like they would eat at not kosher, but they would eat kosher things, like, you know what I'm saying, like. Anyway.
They kept separate silverware and plateware and stuff like that.
They did, yeah.
you just putting people's news on the street right now, Joey? Is that what's happening? Just
I didn't say who it was. I'm also pretty entertained with Colson right now. What happened to you? What's going on with your microphone,
That's what
bud?
I'm saying. I don't know. It just won't stay up.
Okay.
It's never happened
Sounds
to him
like-
before.
No. This is a new
swear.
thing.
When you were younger, you never had that problem.
I know.
But,
I'm 40 now. When I was 20, my microphone always stayed up.
all right. Well, it is time
The reason I'm
to
showing you is because it will continue to go down.
get the FO.
Just like the quality of this show.
No. It goes up and up and up and up. Look at that. Look at that. See, look. It's all happy.
We will be back with you next Monday. I'm assuming. if we can get our...
I'm going to have to hold the mic from now on. Hey, guys.
This might be the one where the FCC steps in.
Normally we wouldn't do this, but 576 was egregious.
The country's been through a lot the last couple of years. And
just lay off a little
they just
bit.
can't take it anymore.
So some people say I'm too intense.
Okay.
Here's what I'm gonna say. Suck it.
Yeah, you're super chill.
I'm super chill. I have the microphone in my hand now, and I'm not screwed. Oh yeah.
We will be back with you for some reason on Monday. Until then, you can hit us up on social media. We're on Twitter at Undebeatables. We're on Facebook.com/TheUndebeatables. Our website is TheUndebeatables.com. There's a contact form there. You can use that to send us a message. But we're a little fragile right now, so be careful with that one. And shout out at TheUndebeatables.com. And the website /store.
For the architect Donnie Walsh and our once and always Hall of Fame Bobby Sinclair. Turn out the lights. The party is so over.
I think that microphone stand you've used for the last 8 years has just been holding you back.
Yeah, I just need to be right in my face. It's just, I need to be more involved in the mic. Just be louder. Hey, look. Here's the thing. They said I'm too intense. I can be more intense if you'd like.
I'm good.
Party's over.